Hello everyone, welcome back to another podcast video. I'm DTM as always, and we're back with another State of FEH Podcast, joined by our lovely guests Oblivion, Knight, and Joel from Theology. Why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Hey everybody, it's Oblivion. Glad to be here again, and we got a lot to talk about. It's a very exciting month for FEH.
Yes, it definitely is. Joel, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, Summoners, and welcome to DTM's wonderful channel. I'm here with great friends, and oh my gosh, everything feels like it's in flux right now.
Oh, yes. I feel like this is like the most chaotic month of FEH we've had for a while. And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot to discuss. And yeah, super excited to be talking about that with all of you. So I guess to start with the elephant in the room, obviously, this is January, and we do have Choose Your Legends a lot earlier than normal, which...
Yes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, to start?
I was a bit annoyed, if I'm being completely honest, because I was on vacation, and I had things planned out perfectly. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then this, and then this, and then I get a notification like, hey, Choose Your Legends started. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So all my plans just went out the window. So I kind of had to like scramble to try to put stuff together. But I'm glad that it was like, I felt like it was less crazy than other years. I don't know if that's just my feeling, but that's how I felt like it felt like.
I was a fan. We were talking about it. I for the most part, it felt like the communities kind of came together. I didn't see a whole lot of, you know how it gets sometimes.
Oh yes,
people get kind of weird about why didn't you vote for my favorite hero or something like that. I didn't see a lot of that. I enjoyed it. I do like the fact that they're leaving Engage out this round because I think it's just going to dominate next year.
Absolutely.
Oh yes,
and that's fine. I mean that is the way of things, and that is all good. But it's nice to get like this one last year. So for the most part, I'm a fan. It is interesting that the results will be announced at the same time they were last year, but the voting was done early.
Yes.
I'm not too surprised, to be honest, because like that's what I kind of figured, and I saw other people saying like, no, it's going to be during the Engage banner or whatever. But for me, like that's a big part of the FEH anniversary channel, right? Like that's always like one of the big highlights. So like it's kind of weird for them to like remove that, I guess.
Well, my thought on that was that they would use like the CYL results to tie in to the promotion of Engage. Because like all the eyes will be on like CYL results, right? That's what everyone is excited for. And what perfect opportunity for IS to have those eyes also on Engage and announce like the new Engage banner that's presumably going to happen on the 16th. And so that's what I thought they were going to be doing. But apparently it's going to still be the same, which, you know, like I don't mind either way, although it is a bit annoying having to wait that long to figure out the results. But yeah, it is interesting. And yeah, it's probably early because I guess they wanted to do this before Engage. And I do agree with Joel, like this is sort of like the last swan song, so to speak, for a lot of characters before Engage just probably sweeps next year.
I could see it sweeping for like 2 years, like pretty easily. So I'm not mad about it at all. I expect that to happen. But I'm very happy that we did get one final chance to like kind of push some of our favorites into, you know, Choose Your Legends.
Right.
I want it to be a good enough game for it to sweep for 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And I mean, from all the hype, I feel like it's going to be. They seem like, and you know, who knows? In the execution, sometimes things get lost. If nothing else, though, it seems like they poured a lot of time into this. Like it seems much more put together than even what I felt like Three Houses was.
I'm not sure how I feel, because I feel like it's definitely an anniversary game, right? Like it's very obvious this game was meant to come out for the 30th anniversary of Fire Emblem,
right?
And it just missed the mark because of the pandemic. So like, to me, I don't know. Like, I've been trying to avoid some of the coverage because it's just too much in my opinion. Like it's just like spoiler central. Like, hey, you want to see every power up in the entire game? And I'm like, no, I don't. I want to be surprised a little bit. Can you stop?
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't really looked into Engage myself that in depth. I've just sort of been looking at like the Engage skills of the 12 rings. But from what I have seen, like it seems like the gameplay there's a lot of cool and interesting things that I'm very intrigued about. But like, again, like really depends on like how it's actually executed in the game. So, and I haven't exactly went into depth about everything. I'm also like you, I'm like trying to avoid spoilers and all that. But yeah, overall though, I am very excited about the game and finally excited to play like a Fire Emblem game after like 3 years or something. It's been. But yeah, oh, you were saying something?
I think the one thing, like I haven't looked into it that much, like I was saying, but the one thing I'm kind of nervous about is that maybe the game will be too easy. Like maybe I'm completely off the mark, but like I have seen some ridiculous powers from the little bit I've seen, and I'm like, if everybody's this powerful because of these rings, like is it going to really be like a difficult Fire Emblem? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was a concern I've also saw from like the few discussions that I've seen about this game in like the various threads and such. I think it's a bit too early to say because a lot of the reviewers are only up to chapter 8, which is not that much. So right. I guess it's just something we'll have to wait and see until the game is actually released.
Well, they've already announced the maddening mode, haven't they?
Did they? I have no idea.
I don't believe they're gonna hold back on that. Like I think you get that day 1.
Yeah, I believe
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
We get like normal, hard, and I think it's maddening day 1. So
okay.
We don't have to wait for a DLC or something to get that, I guess. But yeah, I guess quickly moving back towards the CYL talk. One of the things that was very interesting this year was that the midterm results that were released, there were no ordered results. It was alphabetical and top 20. What were your thoughts on that? Did you like it doing it this way, or did you prefer the old way?
I was like having a panic attack. I was like, oh no, I don't know what's going on. I needed this to like give me some security to feel better, and it just did not. And every other year, I really haven't cared that much. Like maybe the first year because I wanted Ike to win, but like also it was the very first CYL, so I didn't really know what it meant. But after that, I was just like, whatever. I'm gonna vote for Nurgle. I'm gonna vote for Athos. Like whoever. I don't really care. This was the first like time I've ever really campaigned for any character ever. And so like not getting the results and actually being able to see like, oh, Felix is doing okay this time. Like it gave me so much nerves.
Yeah, it really messed me up because I was planning on basing my votes on which Robin I felt needed the votes to win. And obviously with the results not being ordered, I had no idea which one to like support. So like that completely messed up my plan. And I know like I think like half of people do like it this way because it keeps sort of the suspense and stuff. But I don't know. I just like it the old way. I feel like there's a lot. It feels safer for me personally, and also like I don't know. I sort of like the last minute rallying that it could have, especially with like Adult Tiki last year. I thought that rallying was like really beautiful, and I sort of missed that. I sort of missed that.
But the thing is, yes, the rallying is fun, but it also got rid of the whining.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
And we will probably get that as soon as we see the results. But normally we get 2 doses of it, and this time we're only gonna get 1.
I mean, I guess like what it did previously was that it reduced the whining on like the final results because we've already been prepared to expect from like the midterm results. But yeah, I understand that, and obviously it also does reduce a lot of like, I guess, people who vote out of spite, which I personally don't really like.
Right. Yeah.
Now I wasn't there when like CYL 3 happened, but I heard it got like real nasty.
Yeah. Holy crap, dude. Like the Camilla fans and the people who hated Camilla were going at it.
Yeah, so in that sense, like I do understand, why a lot of people like it, but I mean, for me personally, I like it the other way, so. But yeah.
I think
You were saying?
I think like I liked it. It's just not this year. Like if it was any other year, I would have been fine with it. I think the one thing that I didn't like was that it was top 20. Like that's just too many in my opinion, right? Like there's just no idea. You can't get any semblance of like what the scores are like. If it was like top 10, I'd be like, okay, I can kind of get a general feel for this. Top 20, it's like, man, like the person who comes in at number 20 has like 3,000 votes, and the person who's at number 1 has like 60,000 votes. Right. Like it's a big difference. You really can't tell.
Yeah. I sort of wish if they did it this way, they would do it like last year with the day one results, just have the top 8 and leave it at that. And I think that would have just made it a lot more impactful. But yeah, before we move on from CYL, I have to ask, what are your hopes and predictions for the units to win this round?
Oh, you go first, Joel. You go first.
I'm definitely hoping Felix gets up there, and I think he will. I think it's his time. Sometimes I feel like IS stacks the deck, and I feel like they've been doing that for Felix, and I no complaints. I like Felix a lot. Honestly, I'm less concerned with the results and more concerned with who got votes. Again, it's like with Sharena. I'm not expecting Sharena to win, but I want her to get enough votes that IS says, oh, we need to give this unit an alt. And
exactly.
So it's that whole idea that your vote is representation. Like that is, and it has been brought up that not always has IS been good about filling that out. But I think most of the time that's because they're trying to build suspense on a unit. And they don't always do a good job. I think we can all agree with that. But it's Winter Felix is probably our best example.
3.5 years of waiting for Felix to show up. Like, it's quite the suspense. But for me, like, I obviously want Felix to win. That's who I'm going for. But like, it's kind of hard to say who's going to win because I think a lot of people don't realize that the top 2 people who win CYL typically have most of the votes, right? Like last year, I think it was like 60K in the top 2 for each side. So like that's enough to like make anybody win, right? So if those 60K went to a different character, even if they were like, I don't know, someone no one cares about, that they would win instantly. So I think people don't think about that as much. And also like the other thing is like we're in our own little bubbles, right? So I'm in my little Twitter bubble and I'm seeing a million posts for like Alencia and Soren and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I have no idea how much of a sample that is for the actual player base, right? I have no idea what's going on in Japan. For all I know, they're not giving a single vote to Soren or Alencia. So it's a bit nerve-wracking without the midterms.
And the majority of voters don't post on Twitter or Reddit or, and so it's very hard to gauge.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's making predictions for me like very difficult, especially without the midterms. Like I know there are a lot of discussions about like tallying up the Twitter votes and trying to extrapolate information off of that, but obviously that is like super unreliable. And like it was like last year when like Brave Byleth was just shown to be like above and beyond according to like the Twitter tallies, but it turned out a Tiki won. So it does give you a good gauge, but yeah, it does make predicting very hard. If I'd had to guess, I think Felix will definitely make it, just based off of what I've seen and the rallying that I've seen. Honestly, for the second one, I have no idea, but I hope it's Robin. I think there's a good chance it is Robin. And then for the female side, I guess that is also a bit hard, but I can see like Corin and Bernadetta winning that one as well. But yeah.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I've saw a lot of rallying for Soren, and I don't know if that's just because I have all Tellius followers on Twitter, but like I saw a ridiculous amount. So I feel like Soren or Male Robin definitely probably got second place for males. For female side, it's like a toss up. I don't know. Like Bernie, Alencia, Azura, Corin, like there's just so many top contenders over there, which is usually how it is. Like the female side's always more fierce.
Right. I sort of hope that like both Robins win this round just because it would be so funny. And like I don't know, I think they could do some really wild stuff with that if IS was creative.
That's when they turn one of them into Grima and piss off the entire fan base.
That would be my one fear with that scenario. Oh gosh, it's still so stupid that Rima's counted as Robin. I'm sorry, just saying that out there right now. But like, why is legendary Robin Grima? It makes no sense to me. Like, actually. Anyways, before we move on, they also announced this new thing with the CYL, which is the Rising Heroes, where like the 3 units from each division with like the biggest jump in placements gets a special introduction. Do you have any thoughts onto what this special introduction might be and who might lead that?
I'm confused. I have no idea what that means, because they can't give them alts, right? If they give them alts, it's like you just want to choose your legends pretty much. Like maybe you don't get the good treatment, but you still got in the game. So I don't know. And also like it being from like, let's say a character has 0 votes or like 5 votes, like that's not hard to get. You get 10 people voting for you. That's 70 votes right there, right? So like I don't know. It's really interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, even if they gave them like the 4-star treatment though, and made them 4 stars in upcoming banners, I think that would be really neat.
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah,
I just wonder if like people would try to take advantage of it next year.
Well, I mean, that's what they're hoping for, right? Get more people to vote. That's.
I guess that's true.
Maybe Connor Zach will finally get Violent in there. Oh boy. Love you, Connor.
I don't know. All I know is that apparently Desai or whoever is apparently like is like up there on like the top of the list, because apparently he's getting memed on a lot. I don't know the context behind that, but yeah, I guess that's a name to look out for a future 4-star.
So he's a pretty funny character. I wouldn't mind getting him in.
All right. So since the last time we've talked, I guess stepping back from the CYL topic, there's been a lot of special heroes banners that have been released. The first of which obviously is the traditional winter banner. And when this winter banner was released, there was a lot of comparisons made between Harmonic Cordelia and Harmonic Catria, or Bridal Catria. It's since then been a month, and I believe both of you have Winter Cordelia, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Cordelia, so I'd have to rely on you, but after using those 2 units for a month, how do you think those 2 compare with each other?
So I'll go first on this one. I don't think they do. It's a very subtle difference with the spatial change, but I think they're 2 different units for 2 different purposes. Cordelia, I would, for the most part, I'd much rather have player phase. I'd much rather have in Aether Raids. For Bridal Catria, I'd much rather have on defense or Summoner Duels. And I think for things like Galeforce, Cordelia is head and shoulders above Bridal Catria, and Galeforce has become it's become a thing that more and more people are using and have to use. And by making that easier, I think she's a very valuable unit. But again, it's one of those things where something just a little bit was tweaked and completely changed the way a unit interacted with everyone else. She's a neat unit. She's a fun unit to play with, but I don't think the 2 compare.
I completely agree. I'm 100% on the same fence right there, because in Galeforce, Cordelia just feels amazing to use, but when I tried using her in Summoner Duels, it felt clunky. Like there was just moments where I'm like, I should be getting Triangle Attack or whatever it's called, and I'm not getting it, and this feels really bad. So like when it comes to SD at least, and defense, I'd say yeah, Bridal Catria just feels way better. But when it comes to Galeforce, oh man, Cordelia just makes it like easy mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what teams are you using with Cordelia in your like Galeforce teams?
The same one I always use with Summer Edelgard. And
that seems to be the classic these days.
Yeah. I mean, Summer Edelgard and friends.
Summer Edelgard or Brave Seliph, like one of those 2. And even in Summoner Duels, I think if you use there's a pasta with Brave Seliph, and then you have kind of a secondary initiator there that you use Cordelia with, and then Legendary Ninian and a couple other units. So it kind of ends up being a bit of a conga line. And I think with that, Cordelia is just fine. But in the standard, duo Crom, Far Save, and then duo Thor, that little dark pasta that people are using, Bridal Catria is just much, much better.
Yeah, that is something I noticed when like practicing for SD, is that like there would be teams that I'd run into that would use Cordelia, but because of the tweak to the like spacing requirements and the amount of spacing needed, it was a lot more predictable to see like where the enemy could potentially like try to get that brave attack in against you. And so it was a lot, I guess, more straightforward to work around than say with Catria, where due to the spacing there's a lot more flexibility there, I think, at least in terms of the current meta. So I think even though I don't have Cordelia, I have seen that like the same sentiments you two have been sharing, which does make sense. That like the spacing requirements was something that people were discussing and debating the pros and cons of.
I know she's not a priority, but she is your kind of unit. You would really enjoy using her DTM.
Very true. Yes.
Yeah. Is her banner still on? I don't think so. No,
There's no way, right?
Yeah, no, it's gone.
Oh, it's gone. Rip. I mean, I was considering.
No, it's still here. It's still here.
Oh, never mind. Oh,
that's 3 days. 3 days.
Well, I have 3 days to make my decision then. I don't know. Like, there's so much banners coming out. Like, there's the Anniversary, there's the Legendary, there's Engage. I don't know if I have the orbs to like spare for that, and AHR too. You can't forget about that. And I don't know. I will say, potentially making Fallen Edelgard Claude would be very interesting. Not gonna lie. But yeah, we also had the New Year's banner. Well, actually, before that, we also had a legendary female Shez's banner. With I believe she's a fire, right? Yes. Right?
I think.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Yes. And she's effective against everyone, potentially. Have you, what are your experiences with her so far, and like either dealing with her or using her?
I think she's just new legendary Alm. She functions in about the same way, and legendary Alm doesn't offer a whole lot to your team other than he absolutely kills things. And that sounds like I'm diminishing what he does, but man, like he does one thing and he does it really well. And that's the same thing with legendary Shez. I mean, you stick things in front of her and she takes them down, and there will always be value in that. You know what I mean?
Right. Like nuking's always very good, and she is better than I thought. I thought she would struggle a little bit more, but she does just kill like pretty much everything that she touches, especially in this SD season with Flash of Steel. Like it totally took away her weakness of guard. It was just like, nope, don't need that, and she just murders stuff.
Right. Yeah, like legendary Shez was a very huge menace due to Flash of Steel during my SDR run, and even though like she doesn't really do anything else, I do agree, like she is very effective at just being able to take out units whenever you want, and having that flexibility to like punch through a lot of the common like tanks that we have is really nice.
There is one mode that she just absolutely owns, and that's Roker Sieges.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god. Turn 1 clears.
Yes. I still need to do my Roker Sieges, actually. Forgot to do those. But yeah, speaking of tanks, this New Year's banner featured like 2 very interesting tanks, I would say. One being dual Askr and the other being Ash. And personally for me, dual Askr was such a huge menace for me. Like, there were very few scenarios I could actually deal with him, especially during this SDR run. Like, there was very few things I could use to actually take him out. Was your experience the same way, or did you find any like counters that can potentially deal with him?
I have a completely cracked out duochrome who has no problem with him. But it took that and Catria, and then I could take him out. He is very, very beefy. What I didn't realize with the introduction of Arvel was the sea change that we were seeing with the nukes that had insane bulk. And I'm starting to see defenses built around these where they'll almost forgo saviors altogether and just put in all of these units that can take anything. And even if you kill one of them, they'll just inch towards you slowly. And it's essentially, it feels a lot like the old armor balls, only they move further, and so they ping you faster. It's really interesting to see, and it means that on your teams for Aether raids, you need to make sure you have someone who can put out just a ton of damage instead of just having someone who can just take it. So it's interesting. I've really enjoyed watching that.
For me personally, Duo Askr was kind of a hit and a miss. Like sometimes he was amazing and he was really difficult to kill, and then sometimes he just died like instantly. And part of that was because I was running like a Veronica pasta, and Veronica just does not care about anything. Like, she just melts it. Like she just like, hey, what's up? You're dead. Like, okay, bye, I'm out. See you later. And like that unit is phenomenal. Like, oh my gosh, Veronica is so good, especially on this map. So like Duochrome is definitely very good. I just don't know if he's like Duochrome good, right? I don't think he's that good. I think he's like a tier below that. That's where I'd probably put him at.
You should go check out the new defenses with him, because him also providing that cooldown and essentially creating a version of an old IP team, it is fascinating. I got into trouble today. I was running through some friends' defenses, just looking what was in the meta, and having him pulse down Arvel to Glimmer, and that Arvel also had special Spiral, just absolutely destroyed everything that I put up against it. And so it's not only that this unit is difficult to kill and hits hard, but also supports your team. And is he the best in any of those? No. But it's the trifecta there. It's a lot like a lot like Duochrome actually. I mean, a Duochrome isn't the best nuke in the world. He's good, but it's the fact that he also gives that cooldown. So I would definitely go check out some of the new defenses. Is really, really fun and also a bit scary to see.
I haven't gotten a chance to see him on defense yet. Someone used him on offense against me though, and my Catria ball had a really difficult time killing him. They just killed everything around him. It was kind of hilarious. But by the end of the match, Askr was just in the middle, and all my units were surrounding him, like hugging him. But all of his friends were dead. It was just like, okay, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been able to see any dual Askr defenses yet. Hopefully, we'll be able to. Well, maybe not hopefully, but hopefully I'll be able to see one of those in action, because I do think that is actually a really cool innovation in defenses, going away from save Catria balls to I guess just Catria balls without saves. It is still a Catria ball, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we aren't going to get away from that anytime soon.
One of them was Catria, and one of them was really interesting and took out Catria and put in New Year's Ash.
Oh.
And that essentially it's the you know how Muman does with in Chaos raids where he'll put Ash in the middle, and then it means all of the nukes around Ash can choose which one goes first. It's a version of that, but it's in Anima season. And Ash is hard to kill. That unit sneaks up on me.
Yeah, I think Ash is a super underrated frontline because she's just so tanky and provides that mobility support as well. And that just makes it really flexible. And I'm surprised to not see her that often compared to dual Askr, which I've seen plenty in like SD before.
Well, Duo Askr is the better unit, I think, because of how many ways he can be used.
Mm-hmm.
But on another banner, I think we would be, just like you said, I think we would definitely be talking about how New Year's Ash was the absolute most busted unit on the planet.
Right. Just goes to show.
Maybe that's better for us, though.
Yeah. Probably.
Yep.
Although having two at once is definitely not spreading things out, but I guess we'll forgive IS on this one for now. One interesting thing that I found to note was that, when I was talking with you two about a potential dual Askr before this banner release, there were like discussions of whether or not Severance would be included in that. And obviously it turned out Severance isn't, presumably so that we can have Embla rerun in, I believe, March. Do you think we'll have like an Embla alt with Severance in the future, or like another unit with Severance in the future? And what would you gauge that time frame to be?
Only a matter of time, right? Like I figure like
that's what I hope.
maybe I think the earliest is summer, and the latest is probably like November, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But 'cause I know for sure they want to milk, Embla's rerun first, so it's definitely not going to be before that. But I think it's only a matter of time before we get an Embla ult. She's like pretty popular.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too.
The thing I would caution, I'm not sure. Like, I was just looking. It's been okay. I guess Medius was
April,
and we still haven't seen his effect show up. And there's a couple other examples like that, and they seem like they're holding on to some of these effects now and making them special to certain units, especially when it comes to mythics. We'll see. I mean, we're coming up on the on Elamine's anniversary as well. We still haven't seen False Start.
Oh God!
Please no.
Oh, Blessable False Start is gonna be horrifying.
It will. Like, it'll actually ruin the game, I think. But I think one thing to note about Medius is I don't think Medius is necessarily a unit that would get an ult compared to like someone like Embla. And also like Engard feels really something specific to like Ether Raids, specifically because it counters, Bolt Tower and Bolt Trap. And I guess Savage Blow too, but Savage Blow isn't exactly the most popular skill.
Savage Blow 4 is coming out on this banner in just a couple days.
Oh,
so just mark my words. It's
I mean, if they really Savage Blow 4 with, I don't know what effect they could give. Like, I guess, like, true damage with, like, AoEs or something. Like,
it does damage, and then it puts exposure on you.
Oh, yes! That would be so cool.
I think it's 8 damage, and it takes effect every turn for the next 3 turns.
Oh gosh, let's not put dots into those, please. Let's not do that.
It's poison.
But yeah, like I guess to get back to the point, like Engard is a very it's an effect that's very specific to Ether Raids, whereas obviously Severance is something that could be applied pretty much in every mode. So in that sense, I think there are a bit different, but again, who knows? Like, IS could theoretically just keep it on Embla forever, and we'll just have to live with that. It's up to IS's decision, but I would hope that it is down the line, hopefully by November, because I feel like, offense should have some fun with Severance too, honestly, not just defense.
So she could Galeforce then.
Yes. Exactly. It would be so good for Galeforce. You're catching my drift.
It's always about Galeforce.
Exactly. All right. There's one last banner, which is the Khadein Banner that was released since the last time we talked. And I think it was Harmonic Lind that stole the show for that one, just due to the amount of support effects that she can give, and like being able to hit really hard as well. It feels like no follow-up is becoming a lot more common. What do you think that how that impacts like the game and the builds and stuff? And what are your thoughts on Harmonic Lind in general?
So I was too high on this unit. I actually thought this unit was actually going to just break the game in half. And I started playing with this unit and realized the thing that was the seller for me, no follow-up is so common now in so many different ways that while this is a very, very nice way of divvying it up, basically you're giving it to anyone within 2 spaces, and that is very powerful. But no follow-up itself is common enough now that we're getting to a point where that's not exactly amazing, which is crazy because, if you would have told us that 2 years ago, we would have just scoffed. But I mean, we even have it in seal form. The thing I was really looking at is the terrain. And I thought that was just going to be absolutely busted, being able to ignore terrain. And the thing that I really started getting into is it really isn't ignoring terrain. Calves just ignore trenches.
Right.
Yeah.
And infantry just ignores trees. And so it's once I actually got into the workings of it, it's still very good and it's very interesting. But this isn't a unit that you have to go out and summon for right now because otherwise you are going to miss out on the greatest skill ever, just like Bridal Catria.
That's interesting. Right. Oh, good. Keep going.
Real quick, and I'll let you guys talk. Best unit on this banner, Nino.
I was gonna say that. I think Nino's so underrated right now. I've been using her, and she is just stupidly good. Like, oh my gosh, she hits so hard. She's so mobile, and speed preempt makes her super annoying. Like, this unit is cool. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead. No,
I think a lot of people obviously, I think the reason for that is obviously Harmonic Lind sort of stole the show. Sort of similar situation with the New Year's banner, but a bit different. And yeah, Nino is extremely strong, but I think a lot of people also probably is just going to fodder her for the fodder because she does come up with a lot of good fodder, like attack speed finish 4, speed preempt, and of course times pulse 4, which I don't think we have fully delved into what is possible with times pulse 4. But there's a lot of potential in that skill that I'm excited to see. But it's funny because I was actually sort of down on Harmonic Lind. I thought honestly she wasn't really that good, but over his time I thought she was actually she steadily rose in my mind because I didn't fully grasp what the supportive effects could really do to help enable the team. Obviously I don't consider her meta or top tier or must pull or anything like that, but she's still a super strong unit that I sort of underestimated initially.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm
definitely a strong unit.
Her.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't think she's duo Thor or anything like that. But the as Joel was saying, no follow-up has become much more common, but it's mostly for infantry units, right? It's slowly been getting better for cavalry units, but now we can just give it to everybody, and I really like that because that's one of the big things that really make flyers and cavalry suffer a lot of times. How often do we look at arcane weapons and we're well, they don't have no follow-up. It kind of sucks. You know what I mean? And this just gives it to them. So this is another option at least. So anytime we can add support to those movement types that really need support, I'm always happy to see it.
The only other units that can give NFU to non-infantries, I believe, are Fallen Lilith and Legendary Male Byleth, I believe.
Yeah.
I think does Harden too? I think Harden gives it the Cavs or something I can't remember. Or no, it's guaranteed follow-up attack. I don't know.
I forgot Harden's refined, honestly. Very unremarkable.
Oh no, it's a new Harden. It was that banner I hated, so I don't remember it very well.
Well, same sentiment applies, I guess. Oh man. But yeah, NFU is becoming a lot more common, and honestly, between NFU And I don't know, Fury 4, I think I'd prefer Fury 4 fodder at this point just because of how common NFU has been getting, which is kind of crazy to think about, like 1 or 2 years ago. Because like back then,
I love Fury 4.
Yeah, Fury 4 is amazing. Like, I need more of that in like the ephemera pool, please.
Absolutely.
But yeah, of course, it was not only new units that were trying to shake up the game. We also got our refines, and this one was highly anticipated.
Highly.
Yes. I guess to start, our resident Altina expert, Oblivion, of course, is here. What are your thoughts on her refine, and how has she been putting work in so far?
It's a good refine, right? It's a very solid refine. I'd probably put it like, if you see my tier list, it's like triple S down to like E or whatever.
Right.
I'd probably put it in A or low S. That's where I probably have it at for Mythic Altina, because she has Shez Chosen as well.
Right.
The biggest thing, I was saying even before the refine was announced, the thing she needed the most was tempo, and she did not get it. And that is definitely the thing that holds her back. Every time I was using her, if she did not have tempo, she suffered. She suffered pretty hard too.
Right.
Second she had tempo, she murdered everything. And I was actually surprised how much she murdered things, because I pretty much had her matched up against plus 10 like fully decked out defenses. I was playing against rank 1 players in Ether Raids, right? They have max score with their defense. And Altina was clean sweeping it. And I tried to give her as minimal support as possible, because every time you get those comments like, oh, well, you have legendary Elliewood and stuff like that, it's like, well, yeah, that's Ether Raids. Ether Raids, you always give support. So this time I only gave her female Byleth, and I gave her 6 attack and 6 defense. That was all she had, and she was clean. She killed everything like almost easily. Like, she was the hardest thing I think she had to kill was she had to player phase Brave Edelgard, and that was like the hardest thing to kill. But once I gave her tempo, she did it. So I was like, okay. Like, surprisingly, she's much better than I thought she was actually going to be by just reading the refine.
Yeah, even Winter Altina, it's a good refine. Like, that's exactly what she needed. It wasn't a Yoon level refine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I will say, I have been trying to use Altina, Mythic Altina, during my Ether Raids run this Askr season. There might be a video on that, we'll see. But unlike you, my Altina unfortunately is unmerged, and I've been having quite a bit of trouble trying to get her to work, mainly because of that lack of tempo. Like, Arvel is just so common, and inflicting that guard just means that we cannot get consistent Twin Blade procs, and she really needs that to cut through a lot of the damage reduction that is super present. And I mean, I wish I had a legendary female Byleth, but unfortunately we sort of have to work with what we got. But overall, like, I did think that Altina was in a relatively good spot beforehand if, you know, you had like Winter Burning and can get her into Vantage range consistently. Now, I think she is a lot more consistently able to get into Vantage range on her own, thanks to Shez Chosen. Res checks can be a bit iffy, but you can generally make it work with support. But yeah, overall, like, I do think she's definitely gotten better, but I just wish it was like a more Yune levels of redemption from 0 to hero sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. On that note, I will definitely say that, like, it did not change Altina's like nature, where like before the refinery makes, Altina needs investment to perform, right? She is the all-star on the team. She needs everything you're going to give her. And after the refine, she's still in that exact same situation. It's not like with the Yune, where like you have a +0 Yune, you throw her out there and she's doing her job. Altina, you got to invest into. That's just her nature. So yeah,
I will say I didn't realize that you could use that special cooldown for something player face oriented until I saw your analysis on that, Joel, where you can like use her for Galeforce, which I didn't even realize because I was so used to Altina as like a Vantage tank.
You, Mr. Galeforce?
Okay, to be fair, I haven't like Altina was benched for like over 2 years or something.
How dare you?
But yeah, that is something that she can now more consistently do if you can get those 2 hits in and get special cooldown support. Now, obviously, the hard part is getting that 1 special cooldown count down, but there are ways to get that with like Raphael and stuff. So I do think that is a viable alternative you can use Altina in now.
Yeah, I've always been running her on Galeforce teams because she's plus 10, so I have to use her anyway. And I just quicken pulse, and then it's usually not a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Before I used her with Thor, so Thor kind of handled the special acceleration. Now she can do it by herself, so it's slightly better, but
Yeah. And
she does a very good job.
Yeah. And it could be helpful for those that do not have Thor, and you could just use Altina a lot more consistently now, which is always really nice. Altina is not the only refine, obviously. We do have a bunch of others, starting with...
Do we? Are you sure?
I don't know about some of them.
All right, I guess we can start. Which refine of this batch was the most disappointing to you?
Death Knight.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down, Death Knight. It was
close.
bad.
It's trash. It's so bad.
It's terrible.
I don't know what they were thinking when they thought that was an acceptable refine for like our current age. I mean, maybe it's because it's a Grail unit, but like Grail units have gotten really good refines. Like Wallheart.
Like Nisala, dude. Like, look at that refine. Like, what the heck?
Nisala, Wallheart got an amazing refine. Like, why couldn't they give it to Death Knight? Like Scythia Dev is putting in work, I guess.
The funniest thing to me is that they have Sirius in the same refine batch, and he's also a Lance Cab, and his refine is so much better than, like, I don't even understand, like, how do you have those both in the same batch of refines?
I mean, it's probably the same reason why they have Sothis and Dimitri in the same batch of refines.
Hitting Joel where it hurts.
Sorry, Joel.
Speaking of Sothis, what about Winter Sothis? What do you guys think of that refine?
I think
how many times have we complained about armors getting refines that don't work with Hardy Fighter? I mean, it's tough. Like, that's the meta. You need to either be resistant. You need to either have Hardy Fighter or be resistant to AoEs. And she doesn't really do either very well.
Yeah. I feel like they like completely like saw Special Fighter 4 and they're like, that's what we're working towards. That's it. That's the only build she needs. Special Fighter 4.
Yeah. I will say I sort of like her as like a speedy near save option, sort of similar to Valentine's Lucina in that sense, but Dragon. But I do agree, even in that case, like there is overlap with Savvy Fighter 2, which is probably the premier speedy B skill for armors. Yeah, I'm not sure what they were thinking, honestly. I guess they were trying to push for Special Fighter 4, but unfortunately, like Special Fighter 4 obviously did not catch on. It's still Hardy Fighter, and it will probably remain so for a while, unless they... Actually, I don't know what they could do to like shift away from Hardy Fighter.
What they're going to do is they're going to release Beast Fighter 4. It's going to be Hardy Fighter, but it has a Beast transformation class on it. That's it. That's the only difference. It's going to be amazing. Calling it now.
So you're saying that the way they move away from Hardy Fighter is to basically make a Hardy Fighter 4?
Yes, yeah, but it's only for Mufasa. That's it. He's the only one that needs it.
I mean, Mufasa, I think, is like super good if you can get him to like consistently transform. Like, he just needs that one little thing to like pop off.
I really wish they would make it, because like right now they're doing the Beast exclusive skills where it helps the Beast transform. I wish there was opposite, where there were skills for human characters that made it so the Beast can transform next to them. I think that would open up so much more possibilities.
I thought you were going the other way and have infantry skills that kept beasts from transforming.
Oh, no. Definitely not. Don't want that.
Like, that is something that I think we've discussed before, and I'm surprised that hasn't been like an option for like a C skill or something, because I think that could be really cool support. I don't know. Maybe Izuka will introduce that skill whenever Izuka gets into Fae. Might take a while at this rate, unfortunately.
Yeah, when it comes to Tully's characters.
Yeah, but yeah, I think like I do hope that they continue going with releasing more Beast skills and Beast exclusive skills, because for a while, besides I want to say like 1 or 2 Beast units have been pretty neglected so far. So hopefully, like this year will be the year of the Beast, like last year was the year of the Dragon.
I would love to make a video about that, so please ask.
So yeah, also, Legendary Leif also got his remix and refine, and a lot of players were not that impressed by Legendary Leif's remix and refine. Do you think this reaction was deserved, or do you think there's like some hidden potential that a lot of players aren't seeing right now with Leif?
I mean, I think his refine is really good. I think I was doing the math combined with Thor. I think you can get 36 points of true damage off of his 1 brave hit. That's pretty dang powerful. This is a really good unit. I think the big complaint was that he didn't get more in his refine, and there's some argument there. You probably did want a little more, but I mean, we don't want every refine to be just absolutely busted. The big question, I mean, is he usable in arena? Yeah, it doesn't make him just amazing, but I think in Aether raids his stocks definitely went up.
I'm pretty down on this refine, if I'm being honest. Like, the thing is, he needs to be able to kill far save units. And can he kill far save units, right? Can he get through hardy fighter far saves? Like, maybe some of them, but probably not a majority of them. And also, his remix is worse than Legendary Ike's. How do you have a remix that is worse than Legendary Ike's? Like, that's setting a new record, right?
Right.
He got Quick Impulse 2 at least. Leif just got Quick Impulse 1. Like, what? Like, no Times Pulse, no, nothing. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, that is by far the worst remix skill we've ever gotten.
Yeah, I'm sort of mixed between the two options, because on one hand, I do agree that, like, you know, he's still a very good, like, Galeforcer if you can get him to kill. And it's not like Ninjorin, you know, is someone that can consistently take out Hardy Fighter far saves if they run, like, Deflect Magic or anything, right? Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, yeah, I do agree. It's, like, really disappointing, especially when we have Ninjorin and Linja and, like, all these other ranged units that can, I think, personally, more consistently take out these units. And even though their dual skill might be hindered by dual hindrances, there are always ways to, like, circumvent that. And yeah, honestly, like, I feel like Legendary Leif, a lot of people expected a lot, and unfortunately IS didn't deliver, especially when it came to that remix skill, which, I mean, even though I personally liked, because it made, like, Neorn Zeal procs a lot more consistent, I do agree, like, there probably could have been a lot more there, or they could have just moved the tempo to that skill and have an additional effect on the weapon.
I mean, it could have just been Times Pulse at least, right?
Right.
That way it works with, like, the anti-guard, and you get it every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why only Quick Impulse 1?
That's kind of the thing with his kit. I wanted one more thing. It didn't have to be big. I wanted one more thing.
Right. Like, I think if they just given him, like, a miracle effect, like Scion Leif did.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that would have been...
That would be juicy.
Yes, super spicy. And honestly, could have been the thing that does it to make him, like, have that glow up instead of, you know, having a lot of fans disappointed. Or maybe not. Who knows? We'll never know at this rate. But yeah, what were the other refined batch? I can't even remember this refined batch, honestly. This was...
Claude.
Oh yeah, Claude.
His essay. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Like, I get buffs, you get debuffs, you go bye-bye now, essentially. That's how I read it.
Yeah, they really went all out on that. Like, I mean, I don't think it's like some meta-defining refine, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very solid refine. But man, did they make it as descriptive as possible and have as many conditions as possible. Like, geez, they just had to throw like as much text as they possibly could on that thing. It was
eye-rolling, the amount of different weird conditions. Like, and most of them were fairly easy too. So I don't know. I was typing that one up and I was like, oh my gosh, another thing? Come on, just
Same.
You can just you can just clump these together. Like this is not that hard.
I was running out of room in my effects box, which is supposed to be the small compressed version. I'm like, how is there this many effects?
Oh, me too. I had to expand mine. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. I mean,
the good sign though is that this means Dimitri's gonna get good refine, right, Joel?
Yes, it does. That is exactly what this means. I don't know what they're gonna do with him, but he's gonna be absolutely amazing.
This is good news for Edelgard too. So Edelgard fans out there, rejoice. We're in good sites right now. Okay, cool reception. I see how it is.
I mean, there's no question Edelgard's getting a good refine, right? Like, that's whatever. Like, that's going to always happen.
I mean, you never know. I'm actually really nervous about Legendary Edelgard's potential remix and refine. Like, there's so many ways they could do that with, but I hope they do it the way I want, which is clearly the correct way, obviously.
Did you see Satochi's video on his like custom Edelgard?
I did, and
oh my gosh, if they gave her that, where it's like it's like upgraded, what's it called? Oh my gosh, your B skill. I can't think of it.
Raging Storm.
Raging Storm. Yeah.
Raging Storm. Right. So it was Raging Storm, but it had a Brave effect and it had Heavy Blade built into it. It was so like, oh man, they gave her that. That'd be horrifying.
Yes. It's also funny because I was actually talking to Satoshi about that exact concept for a legendary remix for Edelgard because I just think it would be so good. And yeah, Satoshi, absolutely amazing. I love that extended design. Hopefully she will be able to get that extended in the future. It looks so good.
As long as they get rid of the weird solo condition, I think she's going to be very usable.
Yeah. And give her Assault Troop so I can use her for fodder.
Yes, please.
I actually don't think the solo condition is that as big of a deal. Especially if you use her as like an initiator or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I think it's her inability to kill things is her biggest problem.
Mm-hmm, right. And which is where like the Brave effect would be very helpful for that.
All I know is every time her bonus season rolls around in Arena and I am trying to get Raging Storm to proc and it is a mess.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Arena, she's just a nightmare.
She is. She is a terrible, terrible Arena unit.
Yeah. Sad days, I guess, right now, but who knows? The future is bright, hopefully. All right. Speaking of things in the future, Engage. We mentioned this before, but Engage is coming out soon. And we talked a bit about the game, but I'm interested to see how this could potentially impact FEH and what that can, lead the game towards. First, we did get this Engage Cup AHR, which was definitely super unexpected, but was pretty cool. We did get our final 12 units. Do you have any, were the units that you wanted to win, or were there some disappointments? I had a couple.
Actually, I felt pretty good about them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I voted for like one person who didn't win, but it wasn't even the person I'd pick anyway, so I didn't care.
I mean, like, it was pretty much all the units that I wanted besides Brave Marth and Legendary Micaiah. Even though the Fury 4 fodder would have been really nice, I personally would have liked the attack res catch, potentially. And, I mean, I think everyone knows my thoughts on Brave Marth. I think Winter Marth would have been super cool. Wouldn't have picked him, but, I do think he's, like, a very cool unit.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. Do you guys have any speculations on how this banner could potentially work? Because we have 12 units.
Oh, man.
And they haven't announced anything.
Oh, that banner. I think it's just we pick one, right? Like it's gonna show up. It's gonna be like sparking on a legendary banner. I know you haven't seen that DTM, but it's like a big circle with a lot of units on it. and then after that, I'm guessing there's just gonna be a banner, right? You just roll on, like it's gonna be like a big ass banner. That's what I assume. I don't think it's gonna be anything special.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be the summoning circle, and you're gonna pull it up, and it's gonna have the colors that pop up, and you're basically gonna get a random hero.
Oh gosh, please no.
We're not going back to year 2. Let's not do that.
I think that's what they're giving us.
Oh.
That would be terrible. I would be very mad then, because I'm going to end up with something I don't want.
I want to be wrong. Please understand me. I want to be wrong, but that's just what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't, because I would really love to get Distant Dart for Valentine's Lucina, and there's a lot of red options there that I just do not want. I don't have no use for. So yeah, hopefully we get to choose. If we do get to choose, who would you choose for this event?
Oh man, I've been thinking about that for weeks. I don't know. I don't have a Ascended Celica, and I kind of want her. So then she's there, but then there's also Witch Corn, who has attack speed finish, which is really good. And there's also Flame Lyn, so I'm like, between those 3, I just don't know who to pick.
I'm in the same boat. I'd add Brave Byleth on there, and then not Brave. I'd add Legendary Byleth.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason is because I've somehow ended up with a whole bunch of him, and that would end up being +8 for me.
Oh,
okay.
And so that's. But I mean, I don't particularly need a Water Legendary, and Flame Lyn is a unit that I use all the time, and so there's a lot of good options.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make choosing very hard. Like, obviously for me there's Distant Dart, but there could also be a Valentine's Lucina merge, and I definitely would love to get Valentine's Lucina at +10, because she's been rising in stonks, at least when it comes to summoner duels. I've seen a lot of people use her to great success so far.
Only at +10. And you guys were in there. Oblivion was just doing back of the envelope math, and she needs every single point of speed in order to be useful. Yeah. But you're obviously planning on doing that, so that means that for you, definitely is an option.
Yeah, honestly, the smart thing would probably just to get Distant Dart, because I wouldn't summon on Young Ike's banner to begin with, whereas obviously I would summon on Valentine's Lucina's banner anyways. But yeah.
You want Duo Ike. He's amazing. 5 years old, has a 30-year-old man's voice. He's great.
Yeah.
I'm not salty, I swear.
If it is just colors, though, if it is just a regular summoning circle, blue for me is the way to go, because on blue, I'm happy with any of the units I get.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Blue is just absolutely stacked. So, yeah, definitely the safest option. But yeah. Anyways, obviously, this is probably not the last thing that IS will do with Engage. They'll probably have a bunch of banners this year, and probably we'll have multiple seasonals as well. We're probably going to get one the 16th. Do you have any predictions on the units that might appear on this banner and how their gameplay might be?
I think it would be hilarious if they just did a completely different banner. They're just hey, Shadows of Valencia banner, and just trolled everybody. I think that would be hilarious. I don't think they're going to do that, but I would laugh really hard.
I mean, I would love
it. I think they are. I 100% think they are. I think it's too soon for an Engage banner. Every other game, they haven't done a banner before the game released.
Was it Three Houses was the same day, wasn't it? I think it was the same day.
But this is before. This is a full 4 days before that. I mean, that's yeah. I don't know about that. And I also think it would be. I mean, it seems like something they would do where they would want to announce units at the FEH channel or something. I don't know. I just. It seems like a big deal, and I'm just not sure we're going to get Engage units on this next banner. If they come, I think that's exciting, and I think that's a ton of fun. But I'm really worried about the backlash if we don't get them.
Joel, you also had a very toxic idea for this banner.
Oh my god! So that was literally I hadn't even thought of that, and that question hit, and it popped into my head where you don't actually. Oh God, what was it? You get to merge the units in, So essentially, engage units are just a seal, like another seal slot that you add on to other characters.
What?
Like,
But yeah.
you have to roll for them though. You have to summon for them though. So
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god, Joel, don't do that.
Oh my god.
Imagine that. Imagine if you had a new type of hero that you had to summon for, and then you had to also go to a different banner and summon for their rings. Like, oh, don't do
That's
it.
It's like a weird parrot mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a lot of fun because I
Sounds like
think
a lot of money.
But I think it can help older units too. Like you were talking about tempo. You get you get an engage hero that has tempo, and that's the effect that it gives when you pair them up. And so you take Altina and put that tempo on, and suddenly Altina she's already godlike status, obviously, and that just takes her to the next level of goddom. Ruler of gods.
Okay. I think I misunderstood you. I thought you meant like there was gonna be a new type of unit that only got to do that.
It may be.
It was. Yeah.
There may be there's all sorts of things they can explore with that, and this was an idea that just like popped into my head as I was talking about it. But there are a ton of ways that you can do that. If you're actually summoning for rings, oh man, I don't know if I could handle that.
I probably would never summon for rings unless it like has like some broken effect. Like,
let's remember, Lucina is a ring.
that is true. That is true.
That was the quickest like 180 ever.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do for your favorite units, right?
True.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna roll for that Ike ring 100%.
Yes, and I unfortunately have sinned with this resplendent, so I guess I got that going for me. But hey, at least I get resplendent female Corrin too, which is absolutely amazing. Looks super good, so I'm happy with that.
Really
honestly.
does.
Oh my gosh. When I saw Gordon, I felt bad for you. I was like, oh man, Gordon, really? That's who DTM's getting? I'm like, oh.
I mean, I would have, like, there are some other characters I would have liked, but like, I take that resplendent Corrin because she just looks super good.
Oh yeah.
And
no, her art's amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, rings are an interesting idea, and I think that is something that can definitely be like added to the game. I will say, if this upcoming news hero banner is not Engage, I would be honestly very confused because, again, it would be an amazing marketing tactic that IS could do, and also, like, they had 3 special heroes banners back to back to back, presumably to move this new heroes banner here.
Oh no, that's every year, isn't it?
I thought the new heroes was before the special when it comes to January.
Yeah, it is. It's usually Christmas, New Year's, new heroes banner, then seasonal.
Right. And so, like, it would be very strange if they made that shift and not, like, release Engage, because, you know, that was obviously the assumption. I mean, it would be interesting. It would be very funny. I will say that. So, at the very least,
I feel like they're gonna do that though. Like, I feel like they're gonna, because the reason why I think it's coming out early is because they're gonna release the banner. The banner is gonna be extra long, and it's gonna say at the end, "Hey, if you buy Engage, we give you a code and you get a free mail a leer for buying the game." Right? It's gonna be that on the banner essentially.
Yeah, I can definitely see like something similar with like Male Byleth, like having a code to get a free mail leer.
Wouldn't they put that in a FEH channel though?
They should, but you know how they are. I don't know what they're thinking half the time.
That's true.
Did we have a FEH channel for the 3 Houses release?
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't remember.
We had something though. They had an announcement of some sort, but I can't remember what it was.
Honestly, can't
I
even
mean,
remember.
they could also just release a new Tellius banner. If they do a new Heroes Tellius banner, I will not complain. I will be the only one not complaining, but, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they could do a FEH channel on like the 15th or something and have the anniversary FEH channel. Like, it's not that unheard of to have those two FEH channels so close to each other, but it would be like not normal. But I guess this is a special occasion that could warrant that. But yeah, if it is Engage though, who do you think will be on this banner?
Oh man, I mean, Alir has to be on here in some way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just
Right.
that's got to happen. Other than that, that is completely up in the air. I have no idea.
I think they're gonna do like Shadows of Valencia, where you know how Shadows of Valencia when it came out, it had like the Alm banner, then it had like the Celica banner, and then it had like another banner with the Alm's friends, and like another banner with Celica's friends.
Right.
I can see them doing something like that, but with countries. So like maybe the first banner is just like female Alir, Vander, and like the twins, and then the next one is like one country and the next country and whatever, right?
Right.
That way they always have a star for every banner throughout the year, because you know they're gonna release like 10 new heroes banners for Engage probably.
And yeah, that would be a good way to like space it out too. And I see that like being like the two paths they could take. They could do like this one just be like the who was it? Fram
and Cram.
Yeah, I think. Alir, Vander, and then save the lords of the countries for later. Or they can do the like the three houses route where they have like the 4 main lords with Alir, I guess. I think the former is probably more likely. But yeah, definitely very excited to see what Engage can like bring to FEH. I guess something to talk about since we last talked is also Ether raids. And now that we've had Embla for a longer time than we've discussed previously, I do think there has been a shift in Light and Dark season. I guess to start this, how have you felt Light and Dark season shifting, or have you felt that at all?
Okay, this is a hard one because I've had 2 different experiences with this, and the first was when I was going for max score, and I got to tell you, at the at max score, those teams were just absolutely monstrous.
Yeah.
And I've been like this last one, I didn't have the right units to go max score, and I didn't have the time, so I just went normal, and the teams were a lot more tame. But I will say, like the folks who are utilizing Embla well are really utilizing her well. It's pretty fantastic to see. I cannot believe how just absolutely impossible, when she is properly implemented, it is to tank. Like it is just not something you're doing. I'm wondering how that trickles down. Like I've even the big defense that everyone's using, I even saw like PM1's using it now as well, and he usually uses some kind of thing of his own creation, and he's like, no, this is the best one. So it's interesting to see. I've heard a lot of frustration over it, and that generally comes whenever IS nerfs tanks. And people just love their tanks, and the fact that we're not able to use them as much is really getting a lot of people down. So I don't know. On the one hand, I like that there are 2 different seasons that you solve problems 2 different ways. On the other, I hope folks don't get too frustrated with it.
For me, I've just completely gone Galeforce fanatic. I've just abandoned tanking. I still have Dimitri for like when I run into a team that just doesn't care. I'm like, okay, I'll just Dimitri. Cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been just Galeforcing every map because like it's just like I don't want to deal with Embla, and that's the best way for me to deal with her, is just to kill her with Galeforce. So that's what I've been doing.
Her bonus season, it was actually kind of hard to Galeforce her.
Yes.
Yes,
it was. Yes, it was.
Oh,
that was like the biggest
definitely
problem
needs some
for
help.
me when it was during her bonus season. I just couldn't kill her with like Ninjoran or Fallen Edelgard. Like it was really bad. Thankfully, like outside of her bonus seasons, she's a lot more manageable.
yeah.
But yeah, as for me, like obviously, like I'm not in the max score range, so unfortunately, I haven't seen many of those like really well designed, intricate Embla defenses. For me, it's basically been business as normal because I've been using Galeforce for exclusively pretty much for a year plus now. And so like Embla doesn't really change that strategy outside of that one bonus season. Obviously, Embla is definitely a lot more impactful for tanking, and there was definitely a lot of frustrations about that. I don't know if it's necessarily more than frustrations of similar things that have appeared. I haven't exactly seen a lot of discourse around that, but it is something that, it is a big paradigm shift that, is taking a lot of people unawares because of the impact that saves had and now Severance is having. And so I do think that it was, at least when it comes to this current Light and Dark season, it will take some time to adjust to.
We'll see. The other piece to that I'm curious with is all of these new units, these new kind of nukes and that have really heavy defenses. So as we start to see a shift away from speed, which is just fascinating to me. And I wonder if Galeforce gets harder with those. Units like Duo Askr, who actually have enough bulk that they can give you some trouble if you're trying to Galeforce off of them.
Right. I don't think even the premier Galeforcers like Ninjoran probably won't be able to take out Duo Askr unless they take out everyone else besides him or something like that, just avoid him, which is tough because obviously that is a dual unit and that means the dual hindrance structure will still be there, and you can't just get another action off of that.
So, and then the last thing that changed there was the fact that everyone could use Veronica this last month. And man, she eats tanks for breakfast.
Yep.
I will say, and I have a video coming out with this clear in it, but I don't mind sharing it with you. The most aggravating thing was my one loss. I forget which season it was. I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago. But the one loss had someone use their Dogger to tank Veronica, and Dogger had enough speed that Veronica couldn't double. I was
what?
Yeah. Oh, they attack speed unity, and then the unit was debuffed. And so I'm sitting here, I'm watching the replay, and I'm like, ha ha, you stuck Dagger in front of Veronica. Oh my God. So yeah, it's been interesting to see. I've seen some really, really creative folks. But yeah, I have definitely seen a lot of frustration that folks can't use their saviors and they can't use their tanks.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully this does get people to try out Galeforce. We all have made Galeforce videos now, so I guess we can crown ourselves as the Galeforce connoisseurs, so to speak.
We're all the experts here.
Exactly.
Galeforce squad.
Let's go. But I guess this is something that is worth discussing is, a lot of people are very intimidated by Galeforce and, try to shy away from that. What do you think about this strategy makes it so? And what are ways that either IS or, members of the community can try to do to help with that?
I think that the thing is that Galeforce has a reputation, right? It has a very bad, a negative connotation attached to it, where people remember Galeforce from back in the day, where it was I gotta crunch math, I gotta make sure all the checks hit, I have to exactly position these units correctly, or I lose, right? But nowadays, Galeforce is really not that anymore. They give you can get so many actions, but you can get 11, 12 actions. You can easily out-action the enemy team to the point where even if you make mistakes, you can fix it. It's a much more flexible and easy to pull off strategy than it once was. Now, it's still not as easy as just planting a tank, obviously, but still, I think that people just need to give it a chance. I think if you give it a chance, you will see that negative connotation just disappear in front of your eyes. And you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. I can do this. Just try. Try once. Try in a practice match. Doesn't even need to be a real match. And I think that will help a ton. I think it'll help a lot of people.
my first Galeforcers were Raven and Effie.
Oh, exactly. Yep.
That was tough. That was really, really tough.
Yes. Oh man, good old Raven.
Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
My first Galeforcer was Legendary Edelgard, and this was back when I think she was like relatively new, and I had to like test traps with her in order to get into WOM range. Those were fun times. And by fun, I mean not at all. But, it was a good learning experience, at the very least.
The funny thing about trap testing is it really does work like 90% of the time. Yeah. But that 10% of the time that it doesn't just sticks in your craw so bad.
Yep.
Like, who has a 10-point trap? Come on.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
What sort of degenerate would have that? Not me, definitely. But yeah, like, it's funny because like I do agree, like these days Galeforce is a lot more accessible and a lot more I guess flexible than what it was in the past, especially when it comes to like all the like attack checks or whatnot. Like I guess it just in the end it also comes down to a lot of the units that are good for Galeforce. There might be a lot of people that don't have Summer Edelgard. There might be a lot of people that don't have Brave Selef. There might be people who are new that don't have Ninjorin. But even still, I would say, like, there's a lot of, like, those are not the only options for Galeforce. Like, there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to initiators and, like, just the units you can use. And that is also another part of the reputation of Galeforce that I think just no longer holds true anymore. And that is, you need specific units to do Galeforce. I hear that a lot, and these days, I think there's a lot of effects that make that no longer true.
Maybe not specific units, but definitely specific builds. And that goes into the learning curve of Galeforce. And Galeforce has a steeper learning curve than tanking. Definitely. Right. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I completely agree with Oblivion that it is so much easier now and they give you more tools, but there's still a learning curve there. And regardless, it does take longer to do a Galeforce clear than just a straight up tanking clear. So those two things, like the longer time and then the learning curve, those tend to scare people off. But also to you guys' point, the curve is not as steep as they think, and the time isn't as big as they think.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
No. We've gone from like hour-long clears for Galeforce where you calculate everything, and then you forget there's a bright shrine and it throws the whole thing away. And nowadays it's like maybe 15 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on how hard the map is, and you have
sometimes
twice as many actions. Yeah, sometimes it's like instant. Like, okay, there you go, you're done.
Yeah.
GG. But like it's definitely just so much more forgiving. And like you said, there are a ton of units now that can offer support for Galeforce, right? And you don't even have to do conventional Galeforce anymore either. Before it was very conventional. Like, okay, you got your cabs and your infantry units, and then if you were trying to be spicy, you brought in your FEs and your armors and you did the Bullfighter Galeforce, right? But nowadays you can just, you have Duo Corrin, you have Duo Lin, you have Askr giving everyone cooldown, so you don't even need slaying anymore. Like, there's a million things you can do to help yourself out.
The other thing is that my folks in the tanking community will tell you that sometimes if the pots are tricky, they will easily spend 30 plus minutes on a clear.
Right. Whereas in Galeforce, like, that is part of the initial planning when it comes to executing the strategy.
I love the fact that I don't have to worry about pots with that. Like, that is huge to me. That is one of the biggest things. I hate pots so much.
Yeah.
It's my least favorite thing about Ether. It's easily.
Yeah. Same with me as well. Like, it's just so unnecessary, honestly. Like, I get why they're there, but did it really have to be there?
No, did not.
I will say, on like the time commitment time, I do agree that initially, Galeforce will take a lot longer than a lot of, normal tanking strats. But as like as you like learn and get more experience doing Galeforce, like most of my Galeforce matches last like 10 minutes at most. And on rare occasions I will also tank, and those often last a lot longer because of the pots, and also because I am also very worried and have to try to figure out the AI to make sure my tank actually is able to tank on a lot of the threats that are out there. And so I think like the skill curve, I guess to say, or the skill set is different between tanking and Galeforce. But it's not that you need, a lot more skill to do Galeforce compared to tanking. So I do hope that, people do try it out because, they might find it a lot less scary than what it actually is. But yeah, overall, we've been recording for, I want to say, how long? Oh, wow, an hour and a half. These always go so long. These are always super fun.
They are.
Yeah. Are there any final thoughts that you want to impart us with before we end it off?
I have to do this, so I just want to say, Altina tanked a +10 Veronica with no support. She didn't even have a resistance buff, and she tanked a +10 Veronica. Just saying. Take it as you see it.
I wish I had a +10 Altina. That's all I'll say about that.
I wish I had a +10 Veronica. Sorry.
Same.
I mean, I want one too. That'd be awesome.
I wish I had a +10 everything. That would be nice.
I don't know if I want that, because then I feel like everything's not special anymore, right?
I guess that's true.
It's like with arena units, when you have to +10 an arena unit, I hate it. I don't want to look at it in my barracks. I'm like, ew, go away. You don't belong here.
Arena. At least Arena's been getting better with the tickets. Scores have been going better.
Yes.
Yeah.
That change was nuts. I cannot believe how that turned Arena around. I told them that's what they needed to do, and I still can't believe that worked as well as it did.
You definitely called your shot. That was impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So yeah, thank you, Joel, for speaking that into existence. We'll forever be grateful. But yeah. Yeah, I guess that covers it for this installment of the State of FEH Podcast. Once again, thank you two so much for joining me. These are always super fun, and I'm always super happy to discuss FEH with both of you.
Of course, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. And if y'all who are watching do enjoy this, again, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz, not only to my channel, but to Oblivion's and Phaeology's channel as well. Once again, the link to those will be in the description down below. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully we'll get the CYL results soon, and it will be a great time. But until then, do take care. And yeah, see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Every time you say all that jazz, it brings a big smile to my face. I need you to know that.
Aw, thank you.
Anyway, bye, folks. Enjoy your game.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You guys are awesome.